Hi everyone, welcome to this video. I'm Minxlaura123 and this is going to be my September reading wrap up. So in this video I'm going to be telling you about the books that I read in the month of September and telling you a little bit about them, if I like them or not, and of course the rating I gave them out of 5 on Goodreads. So it's quite sad actually, because normally when I do my reading wrap up videos, I'm quite positive about the books that I read. Obviously there's always some that I don't like, etc. But oh my God, September for me was such a bad reading month. There were so many books that I DNF'd, I wasn't enjoying, which makes me really sad. And also at the very beginning of the month, I had a real kind of issue with reading, like a reading slump to the max. Basically, I went away at the beginning of the month and I thought when I was away, I'd take some books with me. I'd read on the journey. I'd read at the Airbnb we stayed at. I didn't do any reading whatsoever. I didn't read on the train. I didn't read at the place we were staying. I just couldn't get in the zone to read. And then when I come home, I had like a flu-y, virusy thing and felt really rubbish and wasn't really kind of in the reading mood either. And then, as I say, I had lots of books after that I just wasn't enjoying. So it's been like really kind of awful reading time for me recently. I mean, it's now October and I've started the month off with a good book, and my current read I'm really enjoying as well. So I will tell you about those in a bit. I've got my laptop here, so I'm just going to literally read out the names of the books that I read, a little bit about them, and as I say, tell you my thoughts and opinions on them. I mean, there were a few that I liked. Like, I did enjoy some of them. It wasn't all a bad month, but in general, just not good. And also I'm really sad and disappointed with myself because I didn't get any of my TBR games books read. So every month we have like TBR games, for example, like TBR roulette, which is really fun, and like spin the wheel. I didn't get to read any of those books that were selected last month, which is really sad because every month I always like to do, the TBR game books, because that's why I do the TBR games, to choose books. And so the fact that I didn't get to read any of them in September makes me feel disappointed with myself. So sadly in this video there will be no TBR games, because I said I'm not going to do them until I've actually read those from last time. So I'm going to kind of carry them over. But yeah, it's quite sad. So it's just been a really disappointing reading time for me recently. So yeah, anyhow, I have my laptop, as I say. I'm just going to pop my glasses on. Let me know in the comments section down below, by the way, what book you're currently reading, and also what was your, reading like in September. Were there any really good books, or were there books that you didn't like? Anything. I love reading your comments, so please leave me a comment down below. So the first book I read in the month of September was called The Whispering by Hayley Hoskins. I DNF'd this one halfway through, so I literally started off September really bad start. By the way, I know not everyone DNF. Some people, even if they're not enjoying a book, they kind of carry on with it to the end. But for me, because I've got so many books I need to get through, like, I can't be wasting time. Like, if I'm not enjoying a book, I'll be like, okay, I've give it a go. I'm not vibing with it. I'm not connecting. I don't really care what happens, or I don't like the characters. Then I'll just kind of, leave it, kind of shut the door on it and move on to the next book. So I do DNF books, but I don't just DNF instantly. I do give them a good go, and I keep trying to read them. And if I'm not feeling it, then I move on. So yeah, this book was a middle grade, and it was set in 1897. So it's about this girl called Peggy, and she can speak with ghosts. Now, I love all things spooky and paranormal. So I was like, oh, this sounds really cute and spooky. So she hides her gift from those afraid of a girl with such powers, terrified of the secrets the dead can reveal through her. And then her best friend is accused of murdering a rich mistress that she works for, and Peggy knows only she, a Whisperling, can save her. So she escapes to her uncle's psychic emporium in the city, seeking out new ghosts to help her solve the case. Time is running out. Each step towards uncovering the truth also brings Sally one step closer to the gallows. So as I say, the premise of this book sounded good. I do like a good kind of middle grade spooky story, but I just thought it was really dull. it didn't feel particularly scary or spooky even. The characters, I mean, it started off okay, but then I got really confused with who was who and what was going on, and I was just, I don't know, I just thought it was really dull, so I did DNF it, as I say, and I only give it 2 stars, which was being quite generous actually. But yeah, so that's that one. The next book I read was The Fine Print by Laura Asher. So this is number 1 in a series. The series is called the Dreamland Billionaires. Now, here's the thing, right? I was so enjoying this book. Like, I was raving about it to everyone. I was like, oh my God, I'm really enjoying this book, you know, but I don't know what happened. I think it just started to get so predictable and it started to kind of drag. For a paperback book, it was quite chunky as well. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to take me like days to get through this book, like seriously. So it's about a rich guy. I can't remember his name, to be fair, but he's a rich guy. I think it was, yeah, 3 brothers, and they'd all been like part of this inheritance from their granddad who had passed away, and they all have to do like a different mission to get the money. So I like the idea of it. It's pretty cool. And the first book is about this brother, and the other books are about each other brother and what they have to do. But this guy, he gets to take over the granddad's theme park. But this like main character, he was like very kind of moody, kind of misunderstood. Also, there's an enemies to lovers trope in this book, which, as I say, is so predictable. It's so like obvious what's going to happen, blah blah blah. I mean, there were some sex scenes in it which were very cringe and made me feel very uncomfortable. I am not a prude by any means, like, but whenever I read sexual scenes in a book, dependent on how it's done, it just really cringes me out. Like certain words they use and descriptions and that, I'm just like, ooh, I just find it really cringy. It can be done okay. Like, I have read books obviously with romance and sex stuff in it, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's all right, it's quite steamy, but then it's a bit cringy. And I found in this book it was quite cringy. And yeah, he falls in love with his assistant, and I just got really bored and cringed out, and I stopped reading it. So yeah, I DNF'd it. But I did go over halfway with that book, because as I say, I did start to enjoy it at the beginning. So the next book I read, I'm really sad about this. This is the second book I've read by Karen M. McManus that I've not enjoyed. All her others, absolutely loved, like seriously. But these, the last one, I can't remember what it was called even, and this one, just not enjoyed at all. So this was called Nothing More to Tell. It's a YA thriller. 4 years ago, Bryn left St. Ambrose School, sorry, put my teeth in there, following the shocking murder of her favourite teacher. The case was never solved, but she's sure that the 3 kids who found Mr. Larkin's body know more than they're telling, especially her ex-best friend, Trip Talbot. He's definitely hiding something, so she gets an internship working on a popular true crime show and decides to investigate what really happened that day in the woods back at her old school. But the further she drives into the past, the more secrets she finds. 4 years ago, someone got away with murder, and now it's time to uncover the truth. So like when I read that, I was like, on paper, this is the perfect book for me. I love YA thrillers, and I love that kind of true crime and podcasting, and you know, it just sounded so brilliant. But when I was reading it, like I've put here on my notes that even though it should have been my cup of tea, it wasn't. And the characters for me were just really boring, unlikable. I didn't really care what had happened then. I didn't really care what was happening now. I just didn't care. I found it very boring. And I'm really sad about that, because as I say, Karen M. McManus was, you know, so one of my favourite authors. She was my go-to. As soon as she had a new book, I'll buy it. Now I'm just like, would I buy her again? I'm not actually sure. So her next book, I'm going to see what it's about. Maybe I'll give her one more chance, but I don't know. It's not good. So I only gave that a 1 star because I didn't even make it halfway with that. I was like, this is so boring. I can't be bothered. So yeah, really sad about that. Now, the next book I did enjoy. Finally, there was a book that I enjoyed. So that was by the amazing Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it's called Carrie, Soto is Back. So I've read so many books by her now. She is amazing. I love the way she makes her characters feel so real. Like you really believe that they're real, and you end up caring about them, wanting to know about their backstory and what they're going through and stuff. Like, she's just an amazing author. So this book I do love, and as I say, I really enjoyed it, but it was so much tennis. Now, this is a story of this woman who was like, you know, big champion. She won lots of tennis matches in the years and she's famous, and now she's kind of having a comeback. So obviously I knew it was going to be a kind of sports based book, and the main character was obviously a sport tennis player, but oh, it just felt like every chapter was like in-depth information about this game, like as it went through the point scoring, and like it was just the whole game. Every other chapter was another tennis match. Now, I don't mind watching a bit of Wimbledon, you know, strawberries and cream and all that, but it's just a bit too much. However, as I say, I love her writing style. I love the character, you know, of Carrie Soto and her backstory, and I love reading her books. Like, she's just such a great author, Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I couldn't not enjoy her books. But I just wish that even though this main character was like tennis connected, it wasn't so much tennis. I think they could have cut the tennis stuff back a little bit, but I still really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the family thing of it and her backstory, the romance. Like, there were aspects that I really enjoyed. I just hope her next book's not kind of sport related, you know, just please, there's no more sports stuff. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Life and Crimes of Hoodie Rosen by Isaac Bloom. So it's, first of all, great to have more Jewish reps in books out there. There needs to be more Jewish rep books. I am Jewish, by the way, in case you wondered why I was saying that. And yeah, we do need more Jewish reps. There's so many different kind of reps out there, and I feel that when it comes to Jewish themed characters in books, there's not that many compared to other people. So I'm loving it when there's a book with lots of Jewish characters, or a main Jewish character, even better. So yeah, obviously the main character, Hoodie, is Jewish. He's part of an Orthodox Hasidic community, and I don't really know too much about Hasidic community. I know obviously they're like ultra Orthodox Jews. I am more of a reform kind of laid back Jew, but they take it like seriously. They live in a very different kind of lifestyle than my kind of Jew that I am. But this book, it was about this boy called Hoodie, and he's from, as I say, this ultra Orthodox Jewish community. He meets a girl, he falls for her, which I thought was really silly, because he fell for her in, like, you know, the first time he saw her, he was like pretty much in love with her. The second time, he was deeply in love with her. It's a little bit fast, but I like the fact that they did build this kind of friendship up and stuff. But it was just so weird. Like, there was like anti-Semitism stuff in it. The ending was really weird ending. Like, it just come out of the blue. Like, what? I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that it did kind of, as I say, have that Jewishness, and I like the fact that it was kind of going into more depth about what Orthodox Jews are about and the rules that they have to live by, and how he kind of respected that, but he also kind of wanted a more, in brackets, normal life, and to be around girls. And like, there were aspects of I liked it, aspects I didn't, but overall I gave it 3.5 stars. Really weird ending, just come out of the blue. I was like, huh? Anyhow, so yeah, next one I read was The Bullet That Missed by the lovely Richard Osman. So this is the third in the Thursday Murder Club series. I literally love this series so much. It's cozy, it's fun. If you like your cozy mysteries, like, I really recommend this series so much. The characters for me make it, like, you know, old age pensioners solving crimes, you know, doing all the dodgy deeds to get what they need of information, and I just really love them. And every time I read a book in this series, I feel like I reconnect with them, and I get to hang out with them again, see what they've been up to, you know. Some of the storyline in this book was a little bit predictable, a little bit silly at times, but it doesn't matter because it all works. And sometimes I found I was getting a little bit confused, and then at the end of it, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Everything kind of, you know, ties up nicely together. So in this one, I don't want to say too much, because obviously if you've not read the others, I mean, you can read them as standalones, but personally I would advise that you read them as a series kind of thing. But yeah, it's I mean, there's a missing presumed dead TV star, a former KGB agent, and money launderers, of course, plus our favourite OAPs. But yeah, it's a bit out there, but it's a cozy, fun, silly mystery. And Richard Osman, amazing author. I can't wait for book number 4 in the series, which is out next year, I think. So yeah, I gave that book a 4 stars. Okay, then, oh, The next book I read, didn't like at all. Oh my days. Vamps Fresh Blood by Nicole Arend. I'd never heard of this one. I'd not seen it anywhere. But when I was on the library website, I always go on the new releases, like browse new releases section. And I saw this cover and it looked really cool. I'm really into like my vampires ever since I was a kid. I've been like vampire obsessed. So I was like, oh, cool. You know, new YA vampire book. I'll check that out. Wish I wouldn't have. So basically, this book I've put on my notes here was Cringe City. It's about an elite vampire school, which is based in the Swiss mountains. Do you know what? I don't even know how to describe it. There were so many characters and they were all very similar. And every time a new character was introduced, I was like, who was that one? Is this what you like? So confusing. Because there were just too many characters. The main character is half human, half vampire, so he's trying to kind of find his way among these full vampires. And do you know what? I don't even know. I had to stop reading it because it was just, I don't know, it was really, really cringe. So yeah, one star and DNF that one. By the way, the reviews on Goodreads for that as well, people like tended to agree with me. Like it was really low ratings and reviews. And to be fair, I don't ever, like if I want to read a book, I just go for it. I'm not that kind of person who like, you know, sees reviews beforehand and goes, right, I'm not reading it, you know, there's this amount of stars and people didn't like it. I always have my own judgment, my own views. I go in kind of with my own thing of like, let's try this, if I like it, if I don't. But afterwards I do tend to read reviews because I want to see if people agree with me or say things that, you know, I kind of thought or didn't agree with me. So yeah, when I read it reviews afterwards, people did not like it at all. I mean, there were some obviously that did, but majority quite low ratings. So yeah, the next book, oh, another bad. So sorry. I don't know why I'm sorry. I didn't write these books, but I'm sorry that I'm being so negative because I don't like being negative about books. I think to be an author and to write a story, like it's just an amazing talent. So I always feel bad kind of being negative about an author's books or stuff, but like I've just got to say it how it is. This is like what I'm here for. I'm saying how I feel about books, you know. But the next book I read was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I really wanted to read this book so long. I pre-ordered it. I had lots of issues getting it from Waterstones. Waterstones, please sort out your issues with pre-orders. Anyway, I finally got it. Really excited. I actually pushed it in front of all my other books because I was like, oh my God, I finally got this one. But it was just, I don't know, it was set out as supposed to be like a witchy, cozy, warm, fun read. And I do agree with that to an extent. Like it was cozy, but it was just so dreary. It lacked so much of everything. There wasn't particularly that much magic in it, even though it was about witchcraft. There obviously was some bits of magic, but it was very silly, wishy-washy kind of vibe magic. So yeah, basically I've put here on my notes, the characters are sweet, but it was too nicey. The magic was really boring and dull. It reminded me of a book that I also didn't like actually, called, was it House on the Cerulean Sea or something like that? It was quite a big book. And I remember it being really popular and everyone raving about it. And I just didn't like it for the same reason. I just thought it was too kind of nicey and just like, meh. So this witch, she goes to be a nanny for two younger witches who are like orphans, and there's this big old kind of house, and there's this moody librarian guy there, so kind of enemies to lovers kind of thing as well, mixed in. But do you know what, I couldn't carry on with it. I had to stop reading it and DNF'd it. So that's sad, isn't it? Yeah, so 1.5 stars for that. I was being quite generous with the little half point there. But that was because I could see that it could be a nice little cozy read, but it was just too dull. Anyway, the next book, now this one was really, really good. I actually really love this book. I give it a 5 stars. I'm the Girl by the amazing Courtney Summers, sorry. This author, I've read so many books by her, and every book I love, every book touches me. Every book that I've read from her makes me think, it makes me feel. Her books are raw, gritty, they are uncomfortable to read, and her main characters in her books are not particularly likable, like, but you end up still caring about them and wanting the best for them and kind of getting into their mindset and finding out why they do the things they do, which I find really fascinating. So the book that she's best known for is Sadie. It was like a big kind of bestseller. Everyone was raving about it. And that's how I first discovered this author. I absolutely love Sadie, and then went on a mission to kind of read all her other books that she'd done. I really enjoyed The Project as well. I thought that was so good, about like a cult and stuff. But yeah, this one is called I'm the Girl. It's about a girl named Georgia, and she finds a dead body of a young girl and teams up with the dead girl's sister to find the murderer. There is more to it as well. She had a lucky escape because she met the murderer. I don't want to give any spoilers, but she kind of got away from him. So there's also that. But there's so much more in this book. It's not just about looking for a murder. It's about power, abuse, grooming, rape. There is a lot of dark subjects in this book, okay? So trigger warning, if things like that are not your thing, this won't be for you. And as I say, I did feel very uncomfortable at certain parts of this book. But the fact that her writing makes you feel uncomfortable, for me, is a sign of a good book, because it feels so real that you're uncomfortable. And it's really thought-provoking, and it's absolutely amazing. So she's 100% in my top 5 favourite authors of all time. Definitely will read everything she writes, because she just hits the spot. She's brilliant, really good. And I gave it, as I say, 5 stars. Next book I read was on, well, I read audiobook on Audible, called Young Blood by Sasha Lawrence. I have not had much luck with vampire themed books in September, so this was another YA vampire book set in a school. I know what you're thinking, it's very similar. I actually had this one before the Vamps book. I downloaded this ages ago, and I just kind of listened to my audiobook sort of every now and again. And yeah, I'd listened to over 2.5 hours of this audiobook, right? And I just thought, what is happening? There's nothing happening. Maybe if I'd have carried on listening to it, it might have, got better. But I was just like, oh my God. I was walking along, like walking to town with my earphones in, listening to this story, and it was just so boring. And I just couldn't carry on with it. So yeah, I just took it off my library. I deleted it. I can't really tell you that much about it, apart from it is LGBTQI plus themed. It's got vampires. It's set in a school for vampires. I don't know. I just couldn't be bothered with it. So I gave it 1 star, and that's that. It was just, yeah. I mean, the audiobook I'm listening to at the moment is really good. I'm really enjoying it. I cannot remember for the life of me the name of it. It's something chutzpah, but it's a really good audiobook. I'm really enjoying it. It's about this young girl who goes on a trip to Israel with her brother, and kind of finds herself there and learns about faith and friendship and sexuality and stuff. But it's really good. I'm actually really enjoying that one. But that audiobook, it didn't stay on the library. So the next one, okay, Accidental Stowaway by Judith Eagle. I'm angry with myself about this book. I don't normally get angry with myself like this, but I was so angry because basically I was reading this book. I was really enjoying it. It is a middle grade. I don't tend to read that many middle grades, really, the odd few here and there, but this one I was really enjoying. And then I think I got over halfway and I was like, oh, this is so predictable. I can see what's going to happen. And I did find myself getting a bit kind of bored, I suppose. Like, I don't know, not wanting to pick up my book as much as I should. That's a sign for me that I'm not into the book as much as I should be. If I'm not like racing to pick it up, if I'm playing on my phone or like watching TV instead of reading, I know it's because I'm not into that book as much. So it was that kind of vibe with this book, even though I was enjoying it. Anyway, so I kind of got over the halfway mark kind of thing. And then I kind of just thought, I know how this is going to end. I'm just going to skim to the end and read the last few pages, just kind of, see how things tied up at the end. And then I discovered a massive shocker. There was a big twist and I was like, oh no, there was 2 twists actually. I should have carried on reading it, because it wasn't boring and predictable at the end. It was really twisty and turny and there were shocks, and I was like, oh no. So then I went back and started kind of rereading, but it kind of ruined it for me because I just read anyway. So yeah, I was very annoyed with myself, and it's kind of made me think for the future, if I'm enjoying a book and maybe finding it a bit boring, still carry on with it. Don't DNF it, because like I could have that happen again, and it was really annoying. So this book was about a girl called Patch who was so sweet and sassy. She'd been through so much, and she was kind of an orphan. Her dad had died, but her mum wasn't dead, but she'd kind of left her, so she was kind of half an orphan, I suppose. I don't know, but she was just like left and always put to different people to look after her, family members, friends of the family. So she was always kind of passed on to different people. Then she's meant to go to this school in Liverpool, and she's all set to go. She gets there. Anyway, she meets this young boy, and she like they're mucking about and playing together and stuff, and then they have like a roller skate each, and they go roller skating together. Anyway, long story cut short, she ends up on a boat that he's on. He works on a boat, and she chases after him because he's took her roller skate, and the next thing she knows, she's on this boat, and the boat starts moving, and she's like, oh, and she ends up being like a stowaway on this boat. But then she kind of thinks, yeah, this could be good, this could be an adventure, and she's got like an adventurous mind, and she wants to do stuff. And so yeah, it's quite a weird, unique start to the story. But then she meets lots of different characters on the boat. Obviously she reconnects with a young boy. There's another young girl who's like from a really rich family, and she hangs out with her. Then there's this old lady with a cute little dog, like lots of different kind of characters and stuff that are in it. But yeah, I'm really angry with myself because there was lots of twists and turns at the end and shocks that I wish I'd have carried on reading it properly. But I did give it a 3.5. I couldn't give it a 4 because, as I say, I did skim it and meh. Anyway, but yeah, it was good. I think if like your younger audience who it is aimed for were to read that, they'd love it. And I think even adults, to be fair, would love it. But do not skim. Carry on reading to the end. So my book of the month for September, I mean, there wasn't many that I enjoyed really. I think obviously Richard Osman I really liked, and Carrie Soto is back. But my book of the month would have to be I'm the Girl by Courtney Summers, because it was so raw, so gritty, hard hitting, thought provoking, dark, triggering, like everything. So yeah, she's an amazing author, and I really recommend you to check out her books. And she is my book of the month. So normally now I would say, oh, it's time for the TBR games, but I can't because there aren't any, because I didn't do my TBR challenge from last time. So yes, hopefully next month, if I can somehow fit in my TBR books this month in October, then yeah, at the end of the month we'll do TBR games again, because I miss doing those. They're really good fun. But what I will show you quickly are my current reads. Obviously, I've said about the audiobook. I can't remember the name of it, but I am enjoying it. Chutzpah. Something chutzpah. Anyway, so yeah, my current reads are, well, this is my current read, actually. I literally started this morning. It's The Skeleton Key by Erin Kelly. And yeah, this was just, oh my God, such a start to a book. Within the first couple of pages, literally the first couple of pages, I was hooked. I was like, this is going to be 5-star. And that is quick for me to think that and say that, and I hope I'm correct. But yeah, I mean, it says here completely addictive, and it honestly, I think this is going to be a 5-star. This is a signed by the author copy of the book. I can show you her signature. So she's very famous for Broadchurch, which was a book, and then they turned it into like a TV crime mystery series here in the UK. I wonder if I can get that and catch up or something. But yeah, it's really, really good. So this is it's like an adventure. I'm so excited to go on this adventure. Back in the day, there was this, I'm going to read some of these notes from the author. There was this picture book in 1979, a treasure hunt picture book called Masquerade by an artist called Kit Williams. So it says on every page, riddles were posed, dreamlike paintings, Jack Hare and his quest to deliver a jewel from the moon to the sun. So each picture was bordered by letters that held a clue to the location of a tiny hare, gold hair studded with precious stones and buried somewhere in England. So that was in the 70s. But then I remember seeing a show that we watch with Josh Gates, if you've heard of him, and he's like a adventure. He's like an Indiana Jones of our time. But yeah, he done this show about this guy called Forrest Fenn, and that's what she's mentioned in the book. This guy was an American antique dealer whose memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, contained 9 clues to the whereabouts of $1 million treasure chest. So he kind of did the same thing with this like treasure chest, but hunt and clues and stuff, right? But yeah, obviously it was set in more modern times when there's more modern ways of finding treasure and you know, finding out where you got to go and stuff. So this book is kind of going with that vibe. There's this guy called Frank Churcher. He published a book called, well done, where is it? Oh, The Golden Bones. Yeah. So let me just read this to you, it's easier, right? So it says, in a large house in London, 2 families meet. One person among them is excited about the revelation he's about to make. The others dread what will happen next. The Golden Bones by Frank Churcher was published 50 years ago as a simple fairy tale and a treasure map, but it soon grew into a dangerous obsession for many, bringing despair, danger, and even death to those associated with it. All the while, a single piece of the puzzle remained unaccounted for. Now, Sir Frank wants one last publicity burst, then to put the whole thing to rest. His family are violently against the idea. None of them want the scrutiny it will bring. And as buried secrets rise to the surface, the crimes of the past and the present are revealed. So yeah, it's going to be a very exciting adventure, and I hope we'll kind of, as a reader, get involved in like the clues and stuff. I don't know. I'm really, really enjoying it. Like really, really, really enjoying it. Oh yeah, and the other book I wanted to quickly show you, I finished reading this morning. Was it this morning or last night? Anyway, it was literally like a little while ago. The Lighthouse by Alex Bell. I know you're there. Very creepy. So this author has done a book that I read ages ago called Frozen Charlotte. The sequel was Charlotte Says, which I read as well. So these are YA horror, kind of, I don't know, middle grade / YA. I mean, you'd have to be, if we're talking middle grade, like older middle grade. I can't talk, sorry. Because like seriously, if you were like 7 or 8, this would be too much. But you know, like the older part of middle grade could read this possibly, but it's very scary. I mean, Frozen Charlotte was terrifying, and it stayed in my mind actually for a long time. It was very creepy about these little dolls and stuff. This one is not as creepy as Frozen Charlotte, but it's still kind of freaked me out a little bit actually. So I mean, there's always something quite eerie about lighthouses anyway. I don't know if you agree, but I've never been to a lighthouse obviously, but I've seen them on TV and stuff, and they just, I don't know, they just look creepy. And even just the imagery, like a picture of a lighthouse is quite creepy, right? So not only is the lighthouse creepy in here, there's also a ghost, and there's this picture on the back here. These ghostly hands appear on the mirrors and on the windows, and they're gone. It was really creepy. It really was. So yeah, if you like your creepy books, I mean, it is the month of October, so check it out. The only thing that I found a negative about it was there were lots of like, I don't want to give any spoilers, but there were these birds. I mean, you can see them on the cover, these big birds, and yeah, there was a lot of like mention of like killing the birds and going into like detail of how these hunters that were there on the island were killing the birds, and I found it really like gross and disgusting and triggering. I am a vegetarian and stuff, so like I just didn't particularly want to read about the way that birds were being killed. But apart from that, it was a very good book, and it was very creepy, and it ended that there could be a sequel. I mean, there might not be, I don't know, but there could be, which I found quite intriguing. So yeah, that's that. Anyhow, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm really sorry that I'm, you know, not really brought much positivity in this video about my books. I'm hoping October is going to be a better month. As I say, already off to a good start so far, so that's good. I've got lots of good books that I've got planned on my TBR to read. Some books I have planned, like in my mind, that I want to read. Others, because I'm a mood reader, I just kind of sit there, look at my books, and kind of go with what I'm feeling in the mood for. But obviously being October, I do want to read some like witchy books and spooky books and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope it's going to be a better month for my reading. And that's it. Before I go, I just really quickly want to show you my new little reading lamp I picked up from WH Smith. So this is really great. It kind of clips on to your book page, and when the lighting is like, say for example I want to read at night and Nathan, my other half, is like wanting to sleep and we don't want the light or the lamp on to wake him up, I clip this on and there's a little button and it shines on the page. It's really cool, it's really bright and it's very bendy, so it's nice to kind of position where I want the light to kind of focus on the page. And also it kind of looks like Lego. Is that just me? I don't know, but it looks like Lego to me. But yeah, and also like downstairs in our living room, our lights are terrible. Like they're like this kind of orangey light. They're not very bright. And my eyes are not the best because, you know, I have to wear glasses and stuff when I read. And so sometimes we'll have the lights on, but I'm also using this with it because it just brightens my visual up a bit for the reading. So yeah, I can't remember how much that was. I think it was about £7 or something from WH Smith. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please click like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out my other channel, Minxlaura123 ASMR. Links down below. Also, check out and come and follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, TikTok. And I do have a throne wish list if you would care to treat me and spoil me. Anyway, well, take care and let me know in the comment section, as I say, what books you've been reading, if there's any new books coming out that you're excited about. Just anything bookish. I love getting your comments and yeah, happy reading. Take care everyone and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.